Hello and welcome to another Digimedia Dude tutorial. I'm Marcelo Lewin, the Digimedia Dude. Today, my guest presenter is Jon Belew, an Apple certified instructor that has been teaching and working with Final Cut Pro since 2005. Welcome, Jon.
Hi, Marcelo. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you here. This is going to be a really nice series, so thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, the goal of this video series, FCP versus Premiere, is not really to start a war, although that would be kind of fun, or to convince people to use one app over another one. The goal is to provide enough information in a short period of time so that users understand how to perform similar tasks in both apps. In this particular episode, we're going to show you how to create a project, how to ingest media, how to organize the media, and how to create your first sequence in both apps. So we're going to start with Adobe Premiere Pro. Okay, so here we are in Premiere Pro. And as soon as you run Premiere Pro, you'll get this screen, which basically shows you any projects you've been working on that you've last opened. You can create a new project, or you can open a project that is not listed here. It also shows you any libraries that are synced in the cloud, and then you can sync in the cloud with your current account, or you can choose a different account. I'm going to go to Recent. I'm going to click on New Project. And now right here is where you actually set up your project settings. I'm going to go ahead and call this FCP versus APP. And then I'm going to choose a location. I'm just going to make it the desktop right now. I'm going to click on Choose. And this is where it's going to store the actual project files. Now you have a variety of settings you can set up here. How you want to render the display format. I'm going to leave all this as default as it comes here. Under Scratch Disks, you can basically select the location for your captured video, your captured audio, your video previews, your audio previews, and your project autosave. It'll save your project ever so often. And then also any Creative Cloud libraries, when you sync from the cloud, it'll store it in a download location. What I like to do is I like to keep it all in the same location as the project file. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And as you can see, it opened up Premiere Pro, and now we have a blank Premiere Pro project. Now I'm going to show you on the left here is you have your project browser, and then you have your media browser. And these are the two places where I'm going to show you today. You can hit the tilde key to maximize any window in Adobe Premiere Pro, and you can hit it again to go back to normal. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the tilde key and show you the project. The project pane is where Adobe Premiere Pro stores links to files, it stores links to title templates, it stores links to your images, to audio files, and there's a variety of assets you can store here. The Media tab, this is the physical location on your hard drive of your files where your media is. Now you can traverse your directories just like I have here. I have 3 drives, and I can go through them and go through every folder and find it. But what you can also do once you find your media, you can create a favorite to it. So as you can see, I already created a favorite to the location in the hard drive, and this is showing me the media stored there. So for example, that one is actually stored under Arcadia, under projects, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but you can right click and just say add to favorites, which is exactly what I did. I've got a variety of items here from LUTs to the actual video. So you can see under videos, I have right here the bathroom, basement, or the bar room, the basement, bathroom, so on and so forth. Now at the bottom, you've got a thumbnail, which you can click on thumbnails and it'll actually bring up the actual thumbnails of the video. And then I can just hover over the video and just move to the right or to the left, and it's actually scrubbing the video. I can also use the spacebar, and it'll actually play the video. What I did is to get the scrub bar here, I just clicked on the video, and it shows me the scrub bar, which I can then scrub with it. That's the media browser, and what you do is you can do a variety of things to actually bring it into the project file, right? The project file is that logical place where everything is stored. So for example, if I wanted to bring this all the videos, or I just wanted to bring in the sunroom, I can click on sunroom, master bedroom, and living room, right click and click on import. The other thing I can do is I can go in here, for example, and say, well, I just want this one, and this one, and then click on import. Now, even though it says import, you're not really importing, you are linking, and that's the big difference. With the new version of CC 2016, that Adobe announced a couple of days ago, you will be able to ingest, copy, and create proxies all automatically. But right now, you're just linking to the location on your hard drive, and that's really important to understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just import the bar room because we all want to have a drink. So I'll go ahead and import. So there, it imported. Now if we go to the project file, there it is. There is the bar room. And again, this is only a link. So if I do right click and then we'll say reveal in Finder, it actually brings up the location of the file, the physical location, which is in that hard drive location. So there you go. And then you see a variety of information, metadata about this file right here. You can right click at the top and say metadata display. And as you can see, there is hundreds of metadata fields that you can add here that you can track. You can also create templates for your metadata. And let's say you have a certain fields that you want to see for certain projects, but not for others. You can create them as templates here and just load them up. So it's pretty expandable in that sense. Now, the way I like to organize my media is I usually like to create folders. So here is a folder that was imported from the hard drive, right? When we did right-click import. But I can go ahead and change this and call it something else. I can just say videos. It does not affect the hard drive. This, again, is just a pointer to the location of where the video is. Now, usually I create at a minimum, a videos folder. I'll create right-click, call it a bin. It's called a bin. I create an audio folder for any audio files that I may be fixing in Adobe Audition. I will definitely create another folder for sequences. This is just how I like to do it. It's not the perfect way or the right way or the wrong way. It's just how I do it. Once you've organized this, and you can have folders within folders, so I can drag and drop this folder in here, and now I have a directory structure, but I'll keep this outside. I usually don't keep anything outside of folders. I like to keep it this way. And then what I'll do within sequences, I may have a rough 1, rough 2 kind of sequence. Now that I have everything organized the way I want to, the final step, at least in this tutorial, is to create a sequence. Right now, here's your timeline, and the timeline is empty. There's a couple of ways of creating a sequence. Well, there are multiple ways. I'm just going to show you 2. I can go to New and create sequence. The issue with this is that you've got to set up all the settings for your video. And you can do that by doing presets. The easiest and quickest way is to open up one of your videos and literally dragging and dropping that into the new item. And by default, it'll create a sequence with the correct settings and load up the video in there. So now we have a sequence. Now, one thing it did, I'm going to go back to the project file. I'm going to hit the tilde to maximize. It put the sequence, and you can see the little icon sequence inside of the video folder just because that's where I created it. I can now drag and drop it and put it there, and I can actually rename this. So I can say bar room rough 1. Now we have a sequence. Now a project can have many sequences. And this is one of the things I'm hoping, John, you will be clarifying for me, because I'm always on the impression that you can't have more than one sequence in Final Cut. So I can't wait to see your demo on this.
Well, I do have one quick question. How did you get to this pane so quickly?
To which pane?
Well, it looked like you jumped from the project where you could see all the folders you created to what we're looking at right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I went too quickly, and I'm glad you asking me to clarify that. There's a key called tilde, the tilde key. It's right next to the 1 on your keyboard. You can click on that, and then it'll maximize any pane. So I can click on this, and you can see that this pane is blue now, so that means it's active. If I hit the tilde, it'll maximize it. If I hit it again, it takes it off. So you're not really switching, you're not moving. All you're doing is I can take the timeline, click on the tilde, and now I maximize that.
Now I get it. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did is, because I was working on Final Cut Pro, I have a white monitor, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm making it smaller. But I just maximize it so it's much easier to see. But I click the tilde again, and I'm back out.
I'm with you now.
So now, let's say I want to have a different sequence for a different video. Now, of course, you can drag and drop multiple videos in here. You can load them into the viewer and then do in and outs, but we're not going to cover that. But what I do want to show you, and this is the final piece, is that I can have another sequence to this project. I can have as many sequences as I want. And I can just say, again, drag and drop the file into my new item icon, and automatically it created a new sequence. Of course, it put it in the videos folder, but I'm going to drag and drop it into sequences, and I can call this, kitchen rough number 1.
How does it handle multiple frame rate videos or multiple frame size in one sequence?
You can actually mix and match. Now, most of the stuff that I shoot is either going to be all 1080 or all 4K. And if it's 4K, what I do is I work with within the sequence settings to be at 1080. So then I can use the 4K to zoom in and reframe if I want to. But you can mix and match 4K. You can mix and match 1080. Different frame rates, and Adobe Premiere Pro underneath the hood, I have no clue how it does it. Takes care of all that for you.
But playback is fine for you, or?
The playback is fine. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with the playback.
Just curious.
Yeah. So that's just a quick overview. I've gone through this pretty quickly, but I just wanted to give people that are not Adobe Premiere Pro users an overview of how do you create your project, how do you import your media, how do you organize it, and how do you create your first sequence. So personally, I'm very excited now to pass it on to Jon, because he's going to do exactly the same thing, but with Final Cut Pro 10.
Thanks, Marcelo. That was a great introduction to Premiere. I'm not a Premiere user, so now I have a good inkling to what Premiere offers. So here we are in Final Cut Pro 10.2.4, I believe is what we're on, just to make sure. Apple updates, 10.2.3. 0.4 hasn't come out yet. So under the File menu is where you go to set up your new project, but Final Cut calls it a library, because a project in Final Cut is something different. And I'll describe that in a second. But a library is where you're going to store all of your media projects. Everything goes in there, audio, all of it. So I would name the library, and I already have a library named here called New Project. I'm going to open up that project just to show you how to open it up as well. I'm not going to actually create it here. So let me cancel that, and I'll switch over to my project, and there's my new project. I can just double click on it, and it opens up. So inside the library, you have an event, and the event is where your media is going to be stored. And one library can store multiple events in case maybe you have, shooting day 1 could be one event, shooting day 2, and so on. So I can import the media, or I can create a new project, and the project is what Premiere calls a sequence. So I'll just do that now. I'll say new project, and I'll call this new project for lack of creativity. And I can choose which event in this library to store it in. And I'll click OK. And as you can imagine, you can have several libraries open amongst several different hard drives at one time. So now I'm going to import some footage. I have some footage given to me from Chris Sherman of overaustin.com. I appreciate him giving me this drone footage here. So what I could do is just simply drag the files over and drop it on top of my event here. That's one way to do that. I'm going to cancel that. The other way is to just click the import window button right here. And I can navigate to that folder, which I have on my hard drive here. Let me see. I could drag the new project over to favorites, and that's how you can set your favorites to jump to import your footage and what have you. But I jumped to this pane to kind of show you that you can skim through your footage before you import it, and you can select multiple files to import. But over on the right side, you have some choices. You can copy it into the library or just leave it in place. And when you copy it to the library, then that library file will grow and get really large. If you leave it in place, then that library file doesn't get any bigger, but you are linking to the files. In my case here, I'm just going to copy over to the library. And I also have these other choices here. I can create keyword collections from the folders, and I'll talk more about keyword collections here in a second.
Hey, Jon, if you select to create a proxy media, will it store the proxy media in the actual library, even if you just link to the files in place?
Correct. Now, you can move them, but they're always going to be stored inside the library. But once you create them, you can, change it to move it outside the library. I don't recommend to analyze anything here, because it takes a long time. And usually I have a memory card that I just want to import and get on with my life. And of course, all this analyzation happens, you can do it later on. You don't have to do it upon import. So I'm going to just leave in place for now, I guess, probably be the better choice for me right now. And I'll just say import selected. Now I do have the memory cards plugged in. I'm going to go back to this little import button here. And I'll go to my memory card, which is untitled. And I have two different views as well. These are the two views you can sort from. The view I'm looking at is kind of a list view, and you can see all the metadata that's associated with that memory or with the video files. And you can right-click on it and see all the different metadata as well, if it lets me. And you can check off what you want to look at, frame size, etc., etc. This footage is AVC HD, and it's of my daughter while we were just playing around. And you can click and drag on. Now, not every camera allows you to do this, but you can click and drag, and I'm holding the command key down. And now you can see I have two clips selected from the main long clip. And if I only wanted to select those two, now it's only going to import these two clips from that area. And notice over here, leave in place is not selected. I can't even choose to do that, because if I did do that, then it would leave it on the memory card itself. Now this other view here allows me to see all the clips that I have. I tend to like this view more just because I can see everything right away. And I can command and select the whole entire clip. So I'm going to import that. And while it's importing, well, these clips are so fast it imported, but while it's importing, you can play it because it's playing it off of the memory card. You don't have to wait for it to copy over before you get it in. You can just go in there and start analyzing your footage and what have you. And then once it's done importing, as you can see over here, you have the choice to eject the memory card from your system, or just close the window in case you want to import some photos from that same memory card or what have you. So I'll just close that. So the next step for me would be to figure out what am I going to do for this edit. So I can select the area, and I can do Command K to create a keyword collection. And this might be my first shot, or whatever you want to say. It could be an interview and someone's talking, and that's the point that you want them in your, to talk to. Now this first shot is a keyword collection, and inside the event it automatically created a keyword collection. Now alternatively, I can go to File, New, Keyword Collection, and let's just name this, second shot. And then back in the event, it shows me the footage, and I can click and just drag an area that I want and drop it on second shot. And you can see that blue line appeared over the area that I had selected. So I'm going to do that again for a couple other shots here. I'll just put it in second shot for the fun of it. And maybe this is blue bonnets. Now that I've narrowed it down, those are the shots I like. Maybe this is take one and this is take two, and I really like take two more. I could just hit the letter F to mark it as a favorite, and now I have that green line on the top of it. Well, as you can imagine, when you have tons and tons of footage, I've narrowed it down to my second shot, and I want to narrow it down to even further to my favorites. In fact, I'll select just this little area and hit F for a favorite as well. And I'll come up here into this little drop-down menu and choose favorites. And now I've narrowed it down even further to what I want to organize. Now to see everything all again, I could just click on the event and make sure that favorite says all clips. And now I can see everything once again.
So to compare this with Premiere, it sounds like what you're selecting are what we would call subclips, right, of the main clip.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
I want to know a little bit more information about this clip. Let me close my keyword window there. And right down here, I can choose to go to list view. And again, it lists everything out just like the import window. And I can right click and choose what information I want to look at, such as frame size. And then I can scroll across and there's my frame size. And I can even click and drag it to move it over so I can see it a little bit further closer. So as you can see, this shot is a 4K shot and this shot is just a HD shot. So depending on the first video I pull into my timeline, it'll automatically adhere to that shot. So if I want my timeline to be 1920 by 1080, then I would pull that clip in first. But you don't have to necessarily. So I'm going to just drag this down and it just snaps to the beginning there. But then I realized, oh wait, that's the 4K shot. I really do want this timeline to be 1920 by 1080. Well, if I do Command J, it jumps me to the project settings. And I can modify the settings here and then change it to my frame size that I want. If I chose custom, then I can type in whatever frame size I really wanted. It doesn't really matter. So you can have a 8K timeline. Just make sure that your system is fast enough to handle that. And then of course all your audio settings and your render format. So let me cancel that. And if I were to create a new project, Command N for new project, I could also go to custom settings here and see it's set to based on the first video clip, or I could choose custom to set it how I want. If I chose custom, then it doesn't matter what clip I drag in, it'll be set to that custom frame size. So let me cancel that out. So that's just the basics of setting up a new project with a library. Back to you, Marcelo.
Well, thank you very much, Jon. That was very informative, and I know I've learned quite a bit because the first thing I've learned here is the nomenclature that Final Cut uses versus Premiere. That was a bit confusing for me personally, so you clarified quite a bit. And the fact that now I know that you can actually have multiple, what you guys call projects, what we call sequences within your project, which is what you call the library, right? Did I do right on that?
That's right.
All right. You get an A as a teacher then. So thank you very much, Jon. I really appreciate your time and showing us this. If people want to get a hold of you, I know you've got a YouTube channel, and give them your website.
Yeah, if you go to jonbelew.com, JONBELEW, you could just see all my tutorials and my YouTube channel, The Edit Room. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @JonBelew, and look me up on Facebook. I'll be glad to help you with anything you've got.
Yep, you're very active everywhere. Everybody subscribe to the Edit Room channel. I know I just did. So thanks again, Jon. And to the rest of you, please remember to subscribe to our youtube.com/DigiMediaDude channel and check out more of our tutorials, videos, podcasts, and articles at digimediadude.com. So until the next tutorial, I'm Marcelo Lewin, the Digimedia Dude. Cheers, everyone.